On the heels of a stronger than expected GDP number tomorrow, we're going to get the November jobs report. And with unemployment still hovering around 7%, we want to take a closer look at where the jobs actually are. Robert Hohman is the CEO and co-founder of Glassdoor, a free jobs and career website, which, by the way, just secured another $50 million in funding this morning. Robert, good to have you back. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
50 million will buy a lot of servers. Benchmark's been with you, and now Tiger. What is this going to be able to do for you?
Well, you know, Glassdoor is building TripAdvisor for jobs and companies. We're about helping people find jobs they love and about companies finding top talent in this community that we've been building. It's working amazingly well in the U.S. It's begun to work internationally very, very well, and this money will help us to accelerate globally.
You got data on nearly 300,000 companies, right?
Yep, that's right.
3 million salaries and reviews, a lot of them generated anonymously, which sort of reminds people, I think, of maybe a Yelp dynamic where you're unable to sort of control or effectively curate what's a real review and what's a fake review, so to speak. How do you manage that?
Sure. You know, Glassdoor from the beginning, we have had a human touch that reviews every single piece of data that goes live on our site. We've been extremely transparent with both the user community and the employer community to be very clear about what the rules are for what's fair game on our site and what the rules are for challenging data on our site. And we believe that what we have is a data set that is responsible and reflective of what's happening in the community. And if you read the reviews of a company, it really is pretty magical. I mean, you get a good sense of what it's like to be at Nordstrom's during the Christmas rush, to be at Google during a product release. It works.
And it becomes so important, Robert, for companies to see what's being said about them, to have access to this data to some extent. And is that really the business model here?
Well, the business model is fundamentally about helping companies hire. So at the end of the day, people are researching their next job, something that they aspire to. That's
because isn't that, just to jump in, isn't that the LinkedIn claim? I mean, to what extent are you ultimately going to be playing in the same space, becoming perhaps a competitor or a successor to what has been a very successful company in this regard?
You know, in many ways, we're cousins to LinkedIn. We're a very complementary service. LinkedIn's good at finding the kind of the needle in the haystack hire. Even when you find someone via LinkedIn, that person's going to come to Glassdoor next. You know, LinkedIn is about people. Glassdoor is about jobs and companies.
Where would you say, if someone just asked you point blank, where's the sweet spot for job openings right now? Where is it?
So, you know, what we're really seeing right now is a tale of two economies, frankly. We are seeing a tremendous demand for highly educated, highly skilled jobs with a strong service component. So engineering, oil, financial services, and candidly, you know, we're seeing that at levels that we really haven't seen almost since the late 90s. You know, we're almost reaching crazy levels, especially in the Bay Area, in terms of the war for engineering talent. And you can contrast that with, you know, the unskilled portion of the economy, which has not nearly enjoyed the recovery that the skilled portion of the economy has. And that is why, you know, unemployment has stayed above 7% compared to the you know, under 5% that it was during the last time that we saw this kind of crazy competition at the high end.
Yeah, I was saying that on a day where we're seeing protests around the country arguing for minimum wage at fast food restaurants, for instance. Last question, Robert. You know, you're a veteran of Expedia. You're a veteran of Hotwire, of Microsoft. Everybody's tossing around whether or not Mullally's going to go to Microsoft or not. Would he fit in the culture if he did?
You know, it's a good question. The Microsoft culture is a very, very specific culture. I think it's going to be very challenging for almost anyone who hasn't been a part of that culture before or related to it to fit in. Now, that may be what it needs to really shake it up. And so Mullally may be able to do that. I do personally think the safest play will be to find someone very, very aggressive who sees the problems and where it needs to change, but which also has had one foot in that culture during this time.
Yeah, I think that argument probably resonates with a lot of people who've worked there before. Robert, good to see you again. Thanks so much for your time.
Great. Thank you.
Robert Hohman with